Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka... And it is time for another Twitter thread. Today we're talking about a group of cards that you've probably heard a lot about recently. Frequently, a lot of the hatred for specific cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is directed towards cards that are metagame warping, extremely annoying, and frustrating as all hell. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's also a significant amount of cards in bad decks that are incredibly boring to be sitting across the table from. Why should Mystic Mind get all of the community's ire? There's plenty of annoying stuff, even in casual archetypes. Case in point, the legendary Fisherman 3 does include some truly mind-numbing text, including cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, also unaffected by spell trap effects. Another Towers. Keep printing them. Do I have to specify, says Distant Coder. I think Distant Coder has lost to this card more than any other human who has ever lived. Bish Balkan, when it appears in your game, is never doing something fair. It's always FTKing.
I hate that stupid card.
Madolche Ticket. Oh, Dolce has never been truly competitive, but each time a Madolche card is returned from your side of the field or to the graveyard by the hand or main deck by a card effect, you get to add a Madolche from your deck to your hand. This basically ensures you never ever run out of material. It sucks. I hate it. Luna says, Sky Strikers haven't been properly relevant in years. Whoa. We're just going to skip over the YCSs. Oh boy, thankfully I outed the Numeron OTK. Surely I'll be able to win next turn. I remember when everyone was using Golden Castle after Gren Maju topped with it. It's not very good, but man, did its magic cylinder effect and special summoning an MST and a pop that could attack twice make for pretty unremarkable, but a very annoying gameplay loop for 2019. Taught my wife how to duel and she took to Time Lords because they're pretty straightforward and explain the battle phase and its steps. However, we played at least 3 matches that day and she opened Lazion every single game. Yes! Most of the Altergeist archetype, but especially Kunkieri, because I just end up popping the back row. This dude out here negates my access code. Yes, this is the most frustrating card in Altergeist, despite being actually terrible. When I was a kid, I despised Fire King High Avatar Garunix. I thought it was the most broken card in the game. I know a lot of people who had exactly this experience with Garunix. He was so crazy. I remember people being like, he's got to be banned, right? Or at least semied. You look at the list and it's like, not only is this card ass, I don't think it's ever seen a period of competitive play ever. Ugh, come on now. I remember back in 2020, you played a Gishki hand loop deck on stream for a TMT. It was the least fun Yu-Gi-Oh! I've ever experienced. Deck turned out to be dog shit, even with 3 Diva, but if I ever saw Gishki again in my life, I'd insta-concede. Mayakashi Trap turned a based bad deck into turn skip turbo. I remember reading this for the first time on stream and thinking, why did they print cards like this? Even the Mayakashi players don't want this. Obviously only good in GOAT format, but whenever this guy shows up on Master Duel or something, it's either completely awful and worthless or prevents the other person from playing entirely, depending on the matchup. Who here remembers when people were trying to board this against Fluonderies? Eater of Millions just randomly hoses so many decks. I played the hell out of this card in Trickstar because it was just kind of a catch-all for stuff you couldn't out. Fun fact, I day 2'd one of the remote YCSs, and one of my go-rounds was up against a Shark deck that was blinding Crooked Cook. I was playing Eldritch something, and I looked in my extra, and I saw Shen. Yes, he comes back, he's macro, I hate him. Anything non-meta, I hate having to figure out an entire archetype on the fly. Okay, that's fair. Have you considered, fuck you? Oh no, a 10-minute combo you have to struggle through and I have to watch? I really hope it pays off for you. I've already moved the Kaiju to the front of my hand. I can't stand Adagnister. The Nordic support brought a lot of things that the deck needed, although it never made the deck amazing, except for this card making me hate seeing a set card anywhere near an Acer. It's just skill drain. Stop printing skill drain for rogue archetypes. Yes! More of a Master Duel thing, but every time I see this guy hitting the field, I just feel like scooping. Just by the sheer amount of time it takes for the opponent to end on a board with 5 monsters, half a negate, and a full-grown beard. Synchron is maybe the most boring deck to watch spin its wheels. My dad used to play this card against me when I was younger, and I didn't really know anything about deck construction or how to out it. Really fun to think that, like, your father thought, No, I'm gonna make my kid cry every time we play this game. This was my big brother's ace monster, and I always lost to it because it could out Arcana Force EX the Light Ruler, my ace monster. If you've never read the Atmosphere, it's literally relinquished. While 80% of this thread complains about a card in a good deck, let me talk about Sidra. Anytime I sit down against it, I know I'm playing against something that wants to kill me in 2 turns, but during Link era, this thing was just annoying. Not good, just annoying. Buster Blader was never and will never be good. I'd argue with that. There was one format where it was decent. But the soft lock they make via this pushed trap can cheese wins and is annoying as hell. Another rogue archetype, Konami said, what if we gave them a big stupid stun tool? What if instead of doing anything interesting, they were just a big, stupid fucking skill drain deck? Doing a blanket every single Crusadia. I don't think this deck was ever competitive, but boy, was it popular when it released. And every time my boss monster got kaiju'd and one of them dropped, my eyes just glazed over. This was very popular, especially at the local level. Dinomorphia loses to several extra deck monsters and cannot keep up, but this deck is so fucking annoying when you get in. Waiting a turn for your fusion summon is crazy, but the payoff is so obnoxious. Another deck where they thought, you know what, this deck needs to be a fucking skill drain deck. Print him a skill drain. Print him a big ass fucking skill drain. Duel Link Special. Power of the Guardians was not good, but it was in probably a third of decks on release because some decks just did not have an out. Madame Vare. Absolutely correct, especially in Duel Links. God, just sometime again, another cool ass deck. And they said, what if it was a fucking skill drain? Why don't we give it a skill drain? This time you can put it on a monster. This dumbass card is literally only playable in Eldritch. It's ass, but every time I see someone reveal it, my blood just starts boiling. I don't have much of a problem with it because it's ass. It's not a trap card, so they can't flip it up in response, but I understand. This is probably the best ever response. Maiden with Eyes of Blue was never really competitive, but she always felt like she was competitive when you were staring one down. Thank God that Umi Control never caught on because Ocean Dragon Lord Kairyu-Shin is maybe one of the most annoying cards ever printed. This was, like, we've been talking about they give rogue decks exactly skill drain. They go, here's a fucking skill drain. Have a skill drain. What if it was skill drain? This one they were like, what if it was Teekboo? Christia. Yes. Herald of Perfection decks were just terrible. You could run them out of resources unless Christia was also on the field. Well, we've actually stumbled upon a pretty cogent criticism of Konami's design policies here tonight. Stop giving rogue decks floodgates. Give them something to make the deck interesting. Don't just hand them a combination skill drain and vanities and say, good luck at locals. Fucking skill drain deck. Fucking skill drain deck. Fucking skill drain deck. And they said, what if it was a fucking skill drain? And they said, what if it was a fucking skill drain? And they said, what if it was a fucking skill drain? Print him a skill drain. 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 Print him a skill drain.